My name is Attorney Roland Mumford with Mumford.Law. Thank you very much for visiting our YouTube channel again and supporting us. Today I'm doing a video observing a deposition given by a sergeant with the Waveland Police Department in Mississippi. And this was a deposition taken on behalf of a YouTuber, a gentleman with Honor Your Oath Investigations. He's a free speech advocate where he stands on the sidewalks or in public or near government buildings. He holds a cardboard sign that says, "God bless the vets." I believe that he knows that it's going to get some complaints of people thinking that he's a panhandling or that police are going to come and falsely accuse him of panhandling, but yet he never, ever asks anybody for money. He just simply says, "God bless the homeless vets," excuse me. So this is his video from his channel, and in the description, it says that it's public record, and a number of YouTube channels have been sharing it. And we need to get this out to show how the majority of police officers are good people, they're professional and have integrity. But the few, whether it's 5, 10, 15%, they absolutely have contempt for being held accountable when people call them out for violating other people's constitutional rights. I hope you'll enjoy this video where I do an attorney reaction and observation and I speak about his testimony, which this guy is just an absolute jerk. And I hope you enjoy this. Thank you.
All right, cool. All right.
You got your ID on me?
What for?
Vagrancy.
Vagrants.
Now pay attention right here. He brings up, he's asking for ID for vagrancy. And later in the deposition, when the attorney asks him about vagrancy, he'll claim that he doesn't know what vagrancy is or the law about vagrancy.
Yes, sir. So do you have your ID on you?
Am I required to give you ID?
Yes, you are.
What would happen if I don't give it to you?
You're going to jail. Period.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Sir,
Now recall, in order, in most states are, you don't have to show an ID unless there's reasonable articulable suspicion. So here, he just completely walks up on this gentleman who's a known advocate for free speech. He holds a sign saying, "God bless the vets." And very oftentimes people will think that he's panhandling, asking for money, and the police will falsely accuse him of doing so. And that's not quite the case. So here he's asking for ID, and later on in the deposition, he won't be able to state any reasonable articulable suspicion or facts to support that.
I'm standing on a public sidewalk engaged in constitutionally protected
Correct.
activity.
Correct. But I'm letting you know you're going to go to jail, no questions asked.
Even if I'm standing on a public sidewalk.
Yes, how many times do I got to explain it to you?
So if I don't give you ID, I'm going to
You're
jail.
going to jail for failure to identify.
Can I just leave?
If you wish to do so, but I need to identify you.
I don't wish to do so. I'd like to stay here and express my.
You're not going to stay here, period. I'll let you know.
Do I have to leave?
Yes.
Why?
Because I'm instructing you. I'm giving you a lawful order to leave.
And if I don't leave?
You're going to jail.
Now here he says he's giving a lawful order. We'll bring that up later in the deposition where he can't give any grounds as to what is supporting this lawful order.
Go to jail.
For failure.
And your officer, Sergeant Joffrion?
Sergeant Joffrion,
All
officer Andrews.
Y'all have a good day.
You got your ID with you?
So if I don't leave, I'll go to jail.
Yeah. Give me your ID first.
And if I don't give you ID, I'll go to jail.
Yes.
Even though I've explained to you that I'm engaged in constitutionally protected.
Now, very oftentimes what he's doing here is he's saying, "I will give you my ID under threat of arrest." And the reason he's doing that is to implicate a 1983 lawsuit so that therefore he can avoid going to jail, but he can still have grounds for a lawsuit. As long as you are doing something in protest, you're giving him the ID under threat of arrest, then that implicates police misconduct, and that implicates a Fourth Amendment violation.
I don't care if you explain it to me or not.
Safeguarded by the First Amendment. It's
Okay.
freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of assembly on a traditional public forum. The steps of City Hall.
Correct.
I'm
Yeah.
not begging for
You got
money.
your ID?
I'm not begging for money.
Okay. You got your ID.
Do I need to show you my ID?
You need to show me your ID. Yes, sir.
Or what?
You're going to jail.
What
Doesn't
is
matter if you commit a crime or not. You have to identify in reference to a complaint because you're violating.
you need to have reasonable articulable.
Now, here he brings up the issue about a complaint. Remember this part of the video later during the deposition, he won't be able to identify who is complaining.
Suspicion that a crime is afoot. You
Yeah, I do have reasons. I just instructed you. So.
Vagrancy?
Yeah.
What ordinance is that?
City ordinance. Go
Even
look
though
it up.
I've explained to you that I'm engaged in constitutionally
You
protected.
don't need to explain anything to me because I literally don't care. This isn't some free will state, man. This is how it is in the state of Mississippi.
So you don't have freedom of
This attorney, excuse me, I'm sorry, this officer is an absolute asshole. To say, I don't care. He does not care about the rights of others who are exercising constitutionally protected activity.
state of
And
Mississippi.
if you don't like it, you can go back to Florida. Period.
Did you take an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution when you served?
I absolutely did.
Yeah, and you're not doing that right now.
Okay, that's your
Did you
opinion.
take an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution when you became a cop?
That is your opinion.
Then you're not doing it right now.
That's your opinion.
1114.
Well,
27 is going to come back to Marcus Jeffrey, valid, -29, -4.
come on. All right, Mr. Jeffrey, you're free to go.
Free to go? Can I stay?
No, you cannot stay. You got to go.
So if I don't go, I'll go to jail.
Correct. You're a lawful order, not come back.
Great. Please raise your right hand to be sworn. You solemnly swear that
Now, here's the deposition that begins.
the testimony you're about to give and the following clause to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
That lifting of the right hand, swearing under oath, doesn't mean shit, I can assure you, during this deposition.
All right. Sergeant Joffrion, I think you know what we're here about. Have you reviewed the body cam footage that was obtained during your interaction with Mr. Gray?
Yes.
When was the last time that you reviewed that?
Yesterday.
What's your understanding of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution?
I don't recall. I'm not an expert as far as
Do you know what the First Amendment protects at all?
I don't recall.
Here's where I implicate that issue about being sworn under oath. He's just been asked, do you know what the First Amendment is about? Any 9 or 10-year-old in elementary school can tell you that the First Amendment is about free speech, about being able to speak without government infringement.
Do you know what the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution
recall.
protects? Do you know?
That is scary that when an officer cannot say what the Fourth Amendment is about, because every day, anytime an officer has an encounter with a citizen, the Fourth Amendment then is implicated. Is it a consensual encounter? Is it a detention? Is it an arrest for probable cause? Here, he can't say anything about what the Fourth Amendment is about, which is obviously about issues of unlawful seizure, arrest, and search and so forth.
What the Mississippi Constitution provides regarding the right of the people to peaceably assemble and petition the government.
Don't recall.
Do you know what the Constitution of the state of Mississippi provides regarding freedom of speech and the freedom of press?
I don't recall.
He doesn't know
Do
what
you
freedom
know
of press is.
what the Mississippi Constitution provides with regard to deprivation of life, liberty, or property without due process of law?
I'm not a lawyer.
I understand that you're a law enforcement officer, not a lawyer. My question was very simple. Do you know?
I don't recall.
Mr. Gray asked you
Basic.
in this video if you had undertaken an oath to uphold and protect the Constitution of the United States of America, and you responded yes. Do you remember that?
Correct.
And did you also take an oath to uphold the Constitution of the state of Mississippi?
I don't recall.
But you would agree that your oath required you.
He does not remember if he swore an oath to the state constitution of Mississippi, the very state that he's a law enforcement officer in.
Abide by the Constitution, whatever it may require.
Repeat the question.
You would agree that your oath required you to uphold the Constitution, whatever it may require.
Which oath?
Your oath of office. You took an oath to be a police officer, didn't you?
I don't recall.
Do you recall telling Mr. Gray that you had taken an oath?
I don't recall what a video states.
What training did you have regarding?
He doesn't remember what a video says that he just watched the day before. And you would think that an attorney would have prepped him for the watching that video to make sure that he could answer the questions.
Law enforcement in the Air Force?
Basic law enforcement.
And what does that include?
Can't think off the top of my head, to be honest with you. Just law enforcement stuff.
When you went to the law enforcement academy, what training did you receive on vagrancy laws,
I can't even remember.
stop and frisk laws?
I never ran over dressed stuff.
He cannot remember what the training was about, the vagrancy laws. Did you catch that?
And what training do you remember?
Patting down subjects for weapons. That's it. No, sir.
Do you remember any training on what was required before you could stop someone and frisk them?
I can't recall.
Do you recall any training?
So he doesn't know the basic elements of a Terry stop and search. That's the most basic knowledge that a police officer should have about when they can stop somebody for a brief detention or investigation, or to do like a Terry pat down. He doesn't even know the basics.
On statutes that were require someone to identify themselves.
I can't recall.
Do you recall any training at the Law Enforcement Academy about First Amendment?
I can't recall.
Do you recall any training about the Fourth Amendment?
I can't.
What are the Waveland Police Department policies on interaction with the public when they are engaged in expressive conduct?
You have to get with them as far as that.
You're a supervisor at the Waveland Police Department, and you don't know the policies on interactions with the public engaged in expressive conduct.
It's not something I study over. I can't recall.
So he doesn't know the policy of when involved with that comes from the police department. They have standing orders, policies, procedures, so that if he's approaching, like this gentleman was holding a sign, he doesn't even know the policy of his own police department of how to deal with somebody that's in a situation where they're exercising constitutionally protected activity, free speech.
Who would know the policies of the city of Waveland or the Waveland Police Department with regarding to persons engaged in expressive conduct?
I don't know.
So if he had a question, he doesn't even know who to go to in the police department to ask a question about a policy.
Since you completed the Law Enforcement Academy, any continuing education courses?
Yes.
Do you have a list of those?
No.
What do you recall?
SWAT school.
Look how serious he is. He's taken this deposition. The contempt that he has for this attorney, this legal process, for being held accountable. He's just sitting there doing whatever he's doing with his fingers there, and he's looking down at his hand. Absolute incredulous arrogance. That's part of the culture of law enforcement for some officers, not all, because many officers are professional.
Anything else?
Can't recall.
Do you have any continuing education courses on the First or Fourth Amendment?
I can't recall.
Once again, he cannot even recall any training at the police academy about the First and Fourth Amendment.
You said that you watched the body cam footage yesterday. Having reviewed that within the last 24 hours, is there anything that you thought you could have done better?
I could have handled it a little different.
How?
Could have reworded some things.
What things?
I can't recall off the top of my head.
Do you need to watch the video again?
No, I don't.
So if your testimony is that you could have reworded some things, but you don't know what things,
I know what things.
what things?
Just handled it better. Talked a little different.
How?
I don't know. I'm not in those shoes right now.
Well,
So he knows that he can reword it himself. That's his word of how he could have spoken different to the gentleman, but yet he can't say how.
part of this is we have the benefit of hindsight. We also have the benefit of having reviewed what happened. I don't know how many times you've watched the video, at least once. But other than rewording some things, and you can't say which things, you can't tell me anything that you would have done differently or done better.
I'm objection.
Well, I have to think on that.
I don't know if he
Well,
can.
how can you say that there are things you would have done, but I can't answer the question as to what they would have been?
I just know I could have handled it better, but it will give me time to think on it.
Well, that's why he's taking a deposition.
So,
Give
did you make any
response-
mistakes? Tell me what the elements of vagrancy.
Here we go.
I can't think of off the top of my head right now. I'm not.
Tell me what you recall. Tell me what you recall are the elements of the crime of vagrancy.
I can't recall. I don't know the laws by heart.
He doesn't know the law of vagrancy by heart, but yet he approached the gentleman holding the sign on the sidewalk, exercising free speech, and accused him of vagrancy with the uttermost arrogance. And yet here, while he's being held accountable by an attorney, he can't even answer the basic elements of a vagrancy charge. How do you go out here and arrest somebody and charge them with a crime if you don't even know what the underlying elements are for the law for which you're charging them?
I just know what certain crimes are. I'm not a lawyer.
So what is the crime of vagrancy?
I can't say it verbatim. Give you.
I'm not asking for verbatim. I'm asking you to tell me, you said you just know what the laws are. What is the crime of vagrancy?
Can't answer that right now on top of my head.
Well, you accused Mr. Gray of vagrancy the moment you stepped out of your cruiser. What were you accusing him of doing?
Harassing customers.
So is vagrancy harassment?
Harassing customers or harassing people, but yet he could never identify who it is that he was harassing or make complaints.
I didn't mention that to him.
I didn't ask that. Is vagrancy harassing? Is that what you think the crime of vagrancy is? So what is the crime of vagrancy?
Can't think of it off the top of my head.
Doing the shoulder.
You don't know what
I
the crime of
don't know.
vagrancy is.
If I had that statute in front of me, did that.
Well, you
Absolutely.
had been repealed
Good rest of
for
that.
years before you accused Mr. Gray of vagrancy. All right, so how did he commit the crime of vagrancy? How could he possibly have committed a crime that had been repealed?
You can tell this attorney is losing his patience with this guy. That's why this video is going all over the place, all over on YouTube, online. The arrogance. And this attorney is asking very simple questions, and he's not answering. He's not taking the system seriously.
5 years ago that you can't even define.
I didn't arrest him or identify him off of vagrancy.
Do we need to watch the video?
If you want to watch it, you can. I'm not.
Well, let's watch.
In depositions, when we play back a video, the deponent is to watch the video. And here he says the attorney can watch it, but he won't. Again, arrogance. Systemic in the culture of law enforcement for many, not all, and that thin blue line.
Watch the beginning of the video. Up to this point that we're talking about with vagrancy. That was you speaking, correct?
There he played the video. I guess he watched
He
it.
asked you why you needed to see identification, and you said vagrancy.
Okay.
All right. So what is vagrancy?
I'm not a lawyer.
But you are a law enforcement officer that was dispatched by Chief Investigator Hersey uh, for harassing and peeping through windows.
Correct.
And not the first, but near the first word out of your mouth is vagrancy, which we've already established is.
I have to compliment this attorney on keeping his composure because he knows that if he plays this video back for a jury, he can't make himself the bad guy. But I could understand anybody, any attorney in this situation wanting to have an inflection of their voice or raise their voice, demonstrating frustration with the very contempt that this officer is showing, again, to this attorney and for the system, meaning this deposition and this lawsuit for being held accountable.
A crime that was repealed 5 years earlier.
Correct.
So I'm trying to understand, Mr. Joffrion, why you approached Mr. Gray, who's standing there holding a sign, and accused him of vagrancy.
How did I accuse him of it?
He asked why you would need identification, and you responded vagrancy. Do we need to play this again?
You can play it.
Do you need to see it again to know that that's what
I
happened?
don't need to say it.
So you did accuse him of vagrancy.
I didn't accuse him of vagrancy.
So why did you? Why would you say the word vagrancy?
I don't know.
He said vagrancy clearly in the video that was at the very beginning of before this deposition started. And now he says he doesn't even know why he said the word vagrancy. I don't even know what the words are to express watching this.
Who would know?
Look at his eyes, the contempt.
Can't answer that.
What a douchebag.
Then you respond that you had received several complaints that Mr. Gray was begging for food, money, stuff like that. And you had not personally observed Mr. Gray begging for food, money, or anything of the sort, had you?
Negative.
Who had you received a complaint from that he was begging for food, money, and stuff like that?
Here we go.
That would be
Nobody
Wow.
complained.
Well, you said you got several complaints that he was begging, but you don't know who any of the several complaints are.
I didn't receive any complaints that he was begging for money.
Then who complained?
Where did you get the information? I'm sorry. Where did you get the information that there had been several complaints that he was begging for food, money, and stuff like that?
Top of my head.
So you hadn't received several complaints.
I have received several complaints.
Then
That
who
he was
made?
harassing people.
But that's not what we're talking about, not harassing. You said several complaints, begging for food, money, stuff like that. Who were the several complainants?
Who knows? I don't know.
So what was your basis of your statement that there were several complaints? He was begging for food, money, and stuff like that.
Harassing customers.
What customer?
I'm not sure.
So you said to Mr. Gray that you had received several complaints that he was begging for food, money, stuff like that. And he responded, that's not true. And you said, well, I'm just out here for that reason. And again,
That's something that comes up very often in that particular gentleman's videos. He has the Honor Your Oath channel. He's holding a cardboard sign saying, God bless the vets. He knows people are thinking that he's asking for money panhandling when there's nothing on that cardboard sign that says anything about money. He's won cases all over the Southeast, particularly one in Georgia, which I commend him about. And so he did the same thing here like the other officers does in his videos. He just automatically assumed he was panhandling before without even hearing anything.
And asked for identification.
Mhm.
I need a yes.
Yes.
All right. And he asked you whether he was required to provide identification, and you responded that he was. And he asked, if I don't, what will happen? And you said, you're going to jail, period. Do you
Yes.
recall saying that?
Yes.
All right. So what were you going to take Mr. Gray to jail for if he did not provide you identification?
Failure to comply
Failure to comply with what?
with the lawful order.
And what was the lawful order?
Identification.
Under what circumstances are you entitled to demand identification from a person?
Reasonable suspicion that crime occurred.
All right. And what
But there was no crime to base any reasonable suspicion on.
reasonable suspicion did you have that he had committed a crime?
Harassing customers. Peeping through windows. Repeatedly asking people for money.
All right. But you just told me that you're not aware of one single person.
I don't know their names.
Well, then who's going to be a witness in a trial to convict him? You have to have a witness that heard him ask for money. He didn't hear it. He can't be the victim. He's not the complainant.
Well, who did you speak to? Where did you interact with these persons?
Beforehand, I didn't.
Then you said you're going to jail for failure to identify. What ordinance or state code section is the crime of failure to identify?
There isn't one.
Right. Why would you say that you're going to jail for failure to identify?
Who knows? Oh no.
He doesn't know why he threatened to send the guy to jail for failure to ID. Well, this is about the 26-minute mark. I try to limit my video depositions to about this time. This is a 37-minute video deposition. Thank you very much for watching this. Please visit mumford.law. Have a great day. Please click like, share, and subscribe.